What is going on, guys? Today we are going to be starting the front end on the 240. So if you're new, welcome. We have our 240 back here. It's an S13 and it's kind of like a rally car, off-road car style, and we're going to be making a front end with a skid plate. That's not what we're doing today. Today we're going to be getting like the foundation for it. We're getting the things that the skid plate and everything is going to mount to, because we are going to have it be removable so I can take it off if I ever need to pull the motor out. So there's a couple things that we're going to get done today. We're going to be permanently mounting our pig nose bumper, which we actually already cut. So we just need to get that section permanently mounted so we can build off of there and the tubing will come out correctly. We're also going to be adding the mounting plates on the bottom of the chassis to where the actual tubing is going to mount that goes up to the front tube that the skid plate will mount onto. So without further ado, let's just jump on in. So here's the front end of the 240. As I said, we did already cut the pig nose bumper. So the idea is we're going to take this piece, there's one on the other side, and we're going to make sure that this is completely straight and it doesn't like bow in or out. And then we're going to weld a plate to it. And on that plate we're going to drill 4 holes on each corner. And that plate will have the entire skid plate assembly welded to it. That'll be able to be one of the removable points. As well as we are going to take this 2" by 2" 1/8" thick angle. And we're going to use these 4 bolts for the tension rod brackets. And we are going to have this bolt to there. As well as this bolt here, that is for our removable core support. So we're going to have it bolt to the chassis that way. And on this angle we're going to weld one of these tubes onto it, and then from there build off to the actual skid plate assembly. So that is our task for today. We're going to get that mounted, get all the holes and everything drilled in it, and then we're going to mount the bumper, make sure it's all good, because right now it is just zip tied in the corners holding it up. And probably the hardest part, which probably shouldn't be too hard, is making sure that those are straight, and if not we have to cut them off, make sure they're straight, and then re-weld them. So like I said, it's just zip tied in. You can see the zip tie in there. So what we're going to do is take that zip tie out, put a bolt in there, and then we have to drill out on that bottom hole on the bumper, and then we're going to put another bolt in there. So the bumper is now actually mounted. We've got our 2 bolts here, and what I did is I put a self-tapping screw up into the fender so it's holding it there too. So this corner is good. The only thing is the middle section, we're going to hold off on it because we're still figuring out what we want to do for there. Because if you notice, we have an intercooler right there, so we need to get air to there. So what we're thinking is cutting out here and putting like an aluminum plate with dimple dies in it, as well as we're going to take these vents out and Dremel or cut away all the material behind it so we have airflow through there as well. Because if you're like me and you didn't know this, the pig nose nostrils are not vents. I thought the air went through there to go to the radiator. Not true. There is just material behind it. There's no airflow whatsoever. So because we're still figuring out what we want to do there, we're gonna also have to close this gap between the hood and the bumper. We are going to not worry about that right now. We're going to call it good. We've got it pretty secure. So what we're going to do is we're going to now move on to the angle. So kind of ghetto, I realize that, but I did get the oil cooler up and out of the way. So once we are done with that, then we can just cut the zip ties and bolt it back. But what we're going to be doing, like I said, was taking the existing 4 bolts for the tension rod brackets and using that for the angle, as well as we're going to use this bolt there because the angle is going to be sitting on this side too. So the angle isn't going to be going across the entire way. It's going to be doing most of the way, but we're going to get from here on that line to that line over there. So we're going to take our measurement and make sure that it is 21 inches, and then we're going to cut this piece of angle to length, and then we will mark out the holes on a template and then transfer it to here and then drill them out. So now that we have that off and we got it just set to the side here, now we can take the hammer and try to beat that center hole in. So on the angle, I got all the holes drilled out, so we are good to go. We can just slap it on there, and then we'll be done with this, and then we'll get to the actual fun part. So you can see we now have the angle on, it is bolted up, and we got this hole perfectly centered, so I think we did pretty fucking good. So before we mess with the chassis, what we're going to do is come over here, and with this 1 foot by 1 foot 1/4 inch thick plates, I have marked out these squares, and they are 5 inches by 4 inches, all 4 of them, and those are the plates we are going to be using. So we're going to cut them out, and then we're going to drill bolt holes through them, make sure they're all exactly the same, and then we can start working on the chassis. So we have all 4 plates cut out, but unfortunately they are all different sizes somehow. So they're off by just a little bit for each one. So what we did is this part of the vise is square, so we have it all resting there, and then we lined up this side. And we're going to take the grinder and we're going to grind the top until it's completely flush, and then we're going to repeat that with this side here. So we got our plates here. You can see they are all good for all 4 of them on all 4 corners. So now what we're going to do is on each corner we're going to drill a hole, and they're all going to be exactly the same spot. In order to make sure that our skid plate assembly is square, we have to make sure that the mounting points are square with the chassis. So we do have that piece of angle that we put on that is square with the chassis, and now these plates are square with the chassis, and in order to make sure they're square with each other, we have this piece of angle, and it's better to use angle than like regular flat stock, only because the angle is 100% going to be straight. So the next and final thing we have to do is weld these plates on. So we're going to get a weld on the top, we're going to get a weld on this side, on the bottom, and on the other side, and get good penetration in it, make sure that that's not going anywhere. So to prevent that from warping, I threw this plate on it, and it helped to keep it straight. And now we can double check that it's straight if I just throw this back on and everything sits flat. And so you can see it's on there, we don't have a gap anywhere, everything is good. So that tells us that it is straight and we should be good there. So now all I have to do is finish welding this side. And now we're finally done with the mounting plates. We got both of those on. The only thing that sucked about those was having to lay down and weld everything that's above you, because, you know, the way gravity works, everything just falls on you. So that was a little bit annoying, but we got it done. So I'm very happy with that. We have the angle piece done. We're now finally ready to get the rest of the skid plate made. But that is going to be done at another time, hopefully this next weekend. So for now, we're all good. So I'm going to throw everything back on, which is just the oil cooler at this point. Everything else is back on. So before I end the video, I just want to throw this clip at the end. A couple days ago, I was hanging out with some friends, and we got some shots of the car, did some flybys, so just enjoy. I really love this thing. I'm very happy with how it's turned out. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like if you did, comment down below, and hit that subscribe button. See you guys next time. I'm gonna go take a shower.